Hey everybody, I'm back with more BG Midrange. I said in the original video that I was going to post the updated deck list, and I did, and now I'm actually going to record with it. This is the updated version of the deck I top-8'd the SCG with. I smoothed down the curve a little, I cut the Izonis because they were just really disappointing me a lot, added more 2-mana creatures, added some more flexible removal in the form of Assassin's Trophy. The one other change I made is a bunch of really good players, including Willie Adel, have been playing Memorial to Folly. I didn't have it originally because these Memorials kept disappointing me in the old standard, but in this deck it just seems actually quite good. Your creatures to buy back are such big value plays, like turning one of your lands into another Golgari Findbroker seems amazing. So, this card does interest me. I'm only playing 2, maybe it should be 3. I really don't want Woodland Cemeteries coming in tapped very often, and you often need untapped black on 4 for Ravenous Chupacabra or Vraska's Contempt. So, I'm sticking with 2 for the moment. Maybe I'll like it enough that I'll go up to 3, but who knows. The only other really unconventional choice of what I'm doing compared to most people is that a lot of MTG Arena players are going with 4 Wildgrowth Walker in the main. Mono Red is very popular on MTG Arena, and so I see why people do this. I just don't love how much worse it makes a lot of your other matchups. Because another deck that's popular on MTG Arena is Teferi-based control decks. Largely because all mythics cost the same amount, and so Teferi isn't $45 or whatever. And Wildgrowth Walker is so bad against those types of strategies. I'd much rather have a Burglar Rat or a Plaguecrafter. So I'm going with them in the sideboard. If I queue up into 3 mono red decks in a row, we'll probably lose some extra games that all look dumb, but them's the breaks sometimes. I think that just about covers everything. I mentioned it in the comments of the last video, but I'm playing Plague Mare. I found this card to actually be more effective than Ritual of Soot against tokens, because clearing out their tokens early before they can play a Venerated Loxodon has been a lot better for me than on turn 4, killing all my own creatures and killing everything of theirs, except for a 4/4 Loxodon, and then just dying. Like, overall, Plague Mare has been better for me. Tokens still isn't a good matchup, but it's not as bad. So, without further ado, I'll hop into the games. Alright, getting into it. It's kind of funny, I feel like when I record, sometimes I win, sometimes I lose, it's pretty hit or miss. But as soon as I'm off camera, I spend so much time losing. I'm at the very bottom of Silver 4 because I was trying to make some new decks work, and they were not cooperating. But oh well. Alright, Blue-Black Control, which I'm assuming it's Blue-Black Control if they want to go up to more than 8 dual lands. Yeah. Probably take my Branchwalker here, which is unfortunate. We really wanted this to find us a 3rd land, but overall I think this matchup is excellent. Blue-Black doesn't have good Planeswalkers, and so they can't just stick the equivalent of a Teferi and run us over with that. But, and they also have lots of spot removal instead of powerful sweepers like Cleansing Nova, and so we're just going to build up a lot of advantage with these cards, and it's going to get us really far ahead. That said, this is really irritating. I think I'm going to actually pitch a Jadelight Ranger here. Question is, do we blow this up? Because giving them an extra land when we're stuck on 2 ourselves is quite bad, but this card is going to be worth 15 million cards after not too long. So I think I am going to blow my Assassin's Trophy on it. By the way, I pitched the Jadelight Ranger because we already have a bunch of 3-drops, and I wanted to keep the Ravenous Chupacabra for the moment, because one of the ways that you lose this matchup is that your opponent just sticks a Doom Whisper and kills you very quickly with their big flying creature. Okay, cool. Gonna hit all our land drops on time. They are up to 5, but even if they play a Doom Whisper, it's like not good enough here. Okay. Hopefully opponent doesn't find another disinformation campaign. We don't really have enough going on the board to keep up with that. This is an example of where Memorial to Folly is going to be excellent. Let's see, I will get another swamp, I guess, so even if I sacrifice Memorial to Folly, it doesn't really matter. We shall see what opponent does. They do need to answer these. Okay, that's really irritating. Like, if they thought Erasure us here, we might not be able to keep up with this. Might just grind us out. Okay, didn't immediately have anything. I think what I'm going to do here... I don't want to cast a spell, because if they have Sinister Sabotage, they get to pick up their campaign, and that'll be really hard to beat. So, I think what I'm going to do... The question is, do I play a land? Because I also kind of want to hold a land, so that I have something to pitch to another campaign. Whereas these cards are just pretty good. So I think I'm actually just going to pass and look to activate Memorial to Folly, getting back one of our creatures. This puts the onus on opponent to sweep the board. They can't just sit here and take this forever. That's really unfortunate. Seeing triple Thought Erasure and double Disinformation campaign right after I cut the Thrashing Brontodons is rough. Interesting that they chose Chupacabra, because Plaguecrafter will get rid of any potential big creatures as well. Sure. I have no idea why R&D made this card so good. It is an absolutely miserable play pattern. It is just really not fun to play against, ever. Gonna go ahead and get back a Jadelight Ranger. Hopefully that can draw us into some extra lands to pitch to the campaign. Okay. A little punished for throwing away all those lands, but we're gonna need a critical mass of creatures to keep up with this. Cool! That is what we want. I'm gonna go ahead and play this Overgrown Tomb tapped, and we still have a Woodland Cemetery to pitch if they play another campaign. Yep, figured that was coming. That is acceptable. Okay. We can't do both. Burglar Rat is kind of nice to just wear down their cards, less good when they're drawing so many. So I'm just going to play out the Findbroker, playing into some Sinister Sabotage here. Yeah. I think we're kind of dead. We just didn't get to keep up with this. Them drawing the second one in their top 10 cards was very difficult for us to beat. Yeah, cast the same spell that you've cast 12 times already this game. Yeah, and pick it up. You're gonna do it again, we know. Oh boy. This turn drawing a land would be really nice because we can go ahead and empty our hand, and so we're not vulnerable to this again. Oh, no, they just have it again. Holy crap. If we don't get something going very quickly, I'm just going to go ahead and concede. Just can't keep up with this. Findbroker's the best card in our deck, so that's neat. What do we want? Just get another Findbroker, I guess. Force them to kill this and just keep looping these. Okay. Get rid of that one, that's fine. Now they can pick this up on command. There's just no way we can keep up with this. If we had been able to have a creature to answer it in hand, that might have been worth playing out. But even if we Findbroker back a Chupacabra or Plaguecrafter, they can just pay 2 life, pick up the campaign, play it, and repeat as much as they want. So that was utter misery. Let's board in some cards that help us deal with that. Our lowest value cards. I think we're actually going to trim a couple Chupacabras. We still have a lot of answers to a flying creature like that, so don't think the Chupacabras are quite necessary. Seekers Squire is our lowest impact Explore card. It's a more defensive option rather than the offensive option of, like, Branchwalker. What else? I want to trim one more card. How many answers to a Doom Whisperer or Thief of Hope do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the Thief, not to the other thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's probably enough. Maybe we cut a Plaguecrafter? Yeah, I think I like the look of this. This matchup is good if we can avoid getting disinformation campaigned 6 times, but sometimes that's how it goes. Now we're going up to 3 Duresses. Hopefully we can just get that out of the way early. Sand doesn't have a Duress, but it does have other good cards. The powerful thing about having Doom Whisper is not even necessarily when they play it, because we can answer it so early. The strength of it is when we don't get to use our cards effectively. If opponent just doesn't cast a creature and just does the disinformation campaign thing again, we only really have 2 cards, and they're not very good ones, so. Disinformation campaign is very powerful, and I think the blue-black decks that play it have something good going for them. I just wish it wasn't as good. Next turn we'll probably play a District Guide to guarantee land 4. Because we're guaranteed land 4, I'm not going to bother. This is probably going to get countered, but that means we can pick up the better card with a Golgari Findbroker next turn. Okay, resolving is sweet. Do we want that? I think I'm actually going to bin the first one. Okay, this is like exactly what I was hoping for. Now this requires an answer, yeah, like a cast down, and even if they couldn't answer it, it guaranteed having a high value target for Findbroker to grab. Okay, and they don't have the campaign on 3, that's great for us. Here, I'm actually going to run out the District Guide to try to guarantee keep hitting land drops, and I'd rather this get countered than either of these. Okay, sweet. Grab a Swamp. That's the turn. Yeah, they didn't... One of the weaknesses of this deck is that if they don't have Disinformation Campaign going, they are not actually very good at generating card advantage. This will eventually, but they need a lot more cards in the yard. Okay. Opponent's been pausing like they have a counter, but probably only one. They're probably waiting for a high-value target like the Findbroker. So I am actually going to play out the Jadelight Ranger here. Okay, they did have an Essence Scatter. I suspect that they don't have another one, or I feel like they would have snapped it off on one of our earlier creatures. Okay, they've been Field of Ruin, that's fine. I would love it if they just played a Doom Whisperer here. They did not, that is acceptable. Okay, we've drawn poorly, and this is our punishment for binning one of those Jadelight Rangers. They have contained us, and we only have one good play left, but I think we do have to make it. Yep, they drew another counter. Oh, Disdainful Stroke, okay. So they couldn't have countered any of those other things. Alright. Ooh, this is rough, because opponent is running out of cards. We have the same number in hand, and we've got a board, but we don't have much of a board, and our cards are so bad. Oh, that was a very good bin for them. We could be in a lot of trouble here. Even if they pay life to buy this back, we have a million ways to get rid of it. Oh, God. Wow, we are in a lot of trouble. Vivien Reid, please. Oh, boy. Sometimes things don't work out. Our draws have been exceptionally bad this game. Oh boy. But this is also a consequence of how we set our deck up. We just don't have... We have too many cards because we don't want to die to their 6/6 flyer, and that means that sometimes we're going to lose to them doing this. Let's see what they choose to get back. Yeah, probably the Findbroker. Yeah, just looping Eldest Reborn. That is very gross. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and concede to that. We can't keep up with this. Yeah, we got ground out. Opponent didn't have a bunch of spot removal, as these decks tend to do, and they had all the card advantage that we couldn't keep up with. And we drew the wrong half of our deck, so a lot of things went wrong to lose what I think is usually a good matchup. Alright, getting into the second one. If anyone followed competitive League of Legends a while back, Ambition was famous. I'm gonna keep this hand. For always giving up first blood, but then his team won a lot of games anyway. And I kind of feel like that's me whenever I record. I just always lose the first match. Sometimes I win the ones following after, sometimes not. We shall see. Branchwalker hopefully finds us a black source. Any land gives us Jadelight Ranger, and then we're kind of off to the races. That is possibly the worst draw in our whole deck. Cool. Hopefully our opponent's playing like the Red-White Angels deck. We have an excellent draw for dealing with that deck. This is much, much worse. So, I'm gonna go ahead and play my land. Get in. Opponent probably has an Essence Scatter here, but we really need to dig for lands to hit our fourth. These 3 cards are basically all dead. So, again, drawing the completely wrong half of our deck. Yeah, and we're just bricking. Oh boy. This is not our day. Okay, go ahead, get in for 2 damage again. Hopefully they'll decide to kill this. No. They will almost certainly counter it. Whoa! Oh, what? Oh, that is really frustrating. I definitely clicked on damage and it skipped through the rest of my turn. Oh my god. Well, that is exceedingly frustrating. I'm going to play this untapped. I'm going to play Plaguecrafter. This plays around Syncopate, so we can try to get rid of the Teferi. Nope, and the game's over. Teferi will bury us, and we've already missed too many land drops, and we have 3 dead cards. Well, that game was hard anyway, and just became worse due to getting really unlucky with the game lagging out. Okay. We're gonna move past that. This is relatively clean. We boarded in 5 cards. We're just gonna cut the Chupacabras. Opponent might board in creatures, but in Jeskai they will almost certainly be Lyra Dawnbringer, and we have a bunch of cards that incidentally answer Teferi and also big flyers, or are just generically good that way. We need 1 more cut. Maybe we want to cut a Vraska's Contempt, since... No, I think we want to cut... This is tough. I actually don't know completely what the correct cut is here. Maybe an Assassin's Trophy? All of our other cards answer things the same way, but this is just also giving them a land? That could be wrong. Opponent taking their time with sideboarding. One of the advantages of our deck is it's kind of difficult to sideboard against, because sweepers usually just clean up a bunch of value creatures that already generated something. 10 is fine. It's not great. I think we have to keep it, but the reason we went up to 10 2-drop creatures is because we really want to have one every game. Okay, opponent mulls to 6, that's pretty good for us. Would love to have a Merfolk Branchwalker or a Burglar Rat on top of our deck. Instead, we drew another land. Cool. Okay, now opponent's going to have a counter spell, because of course they will. Wow, no hesitation, they don't even have a counter. That is the perfect draw. Let's keep that on top twice. Plaguecrafter, not great here. We don't have, like, a throwaway creature to sacrifice. I'm just going to go ahead and get in here. Opponent does not have 4 mana, so they don't have one of their card advantage spells. What they probably have is Sinister Sabotage, so I'm just not going to cast a spell. I'm not going to give them a chance to use their mana. If they have multiple counters, they'd want to counter the Duress and be holding one up next turn, but we don't have to give them that opportunity. Alright. This existing is a reason to cut, to not cut Assassin's Trophy and keep in, say, Vraska's Contempt. But I don't even know if I would trophy this. Let's go ahead and see what's going on over there. Okay, they have a card draw spell, but taking it doesn't really do anything. They have a sweeper that we can play around, and they've got the big guy. We have multiple answers in hand to Teferi, but if they play him plus and draw into a counter, that's just like game over. We can't let that happen. So we are going to keep our head down, keep playing out cards. Next turn, I think we're in pretty good shape. Opponent's going to hold up Settle. They are almost certainly not going to use it on just a District Guide. And they really want to Chemister's Insight. I could Duress, but I think what I'm going to do... They only had one draw step to find something good here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slam this Vraska. If they drew a counter, cool for them. They get to counter it. Yeah, looks like they did. No, okay, sweet. Question is, do I downtick on this Ixalan's Binding or plus and start making pirates? I think I'm going to downtick. I don't know that the ultimate means very much. I think we win this game through establishing a board and whittling our opponent down, not... That's cool. Value creature. And this builds up our board faster. Puts 6 points on the table. Okay, here, go ahead and go to combat. I'm fine losing these two creatures to a Settle. We'll just rebuild our board with Vraska. And this is the matchups where we tend to win, because this is just a war of attrition. They keep playing out cards. We keep forcing them to answer our stuff while also taking their cards. Let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and take that, because that's a way for them to draw a bunch of cards and get back into the game. We don't want that. They'll probably pitch a land here. And they have a Disdainful Stroke, but that just means that if they play a Teferi, we will cast Plaguecrafter instead of the Eldest Reborn. Ooh, good draw, I think. No, we didn't get anything countered yet. It's not a good draw. Oops. Let's see, go ahead, go to combat. What we could do to try to really start working on grinding them out is we could Plaguecrafter, sack Burglar Rat, and then Memorial to Folly to bring it back, but I think that's really aggressive. I think we'll just pass. They get to Chemister's Insight here, which is a little annoying, but... Yeah, pitching an Essence Scatter. So they'll draw up to 4 cards on their turn, but we've got a good board, a Planeswalker, multiple answers to their best thing. That's a little irritating. Don't think there's anything we can do about that. Yep, sure. This, again, not very good. None of our creatures are dying. It's really hit or miss against blue-white decks, whether or not you want this type of thing. Because your creatures don't die as much because they get exiled to Ixalan's Binding or to Settle the Wreckage. But at the same time, your creatures also get countered a lot, and they usually play Cleansing Nova. Oh, do they have another Settle here? That's like really bad for us if they do. Yeah, okay, opponent drew really well. Luckily, we are going to get most of the basics out of our deck. So there are not that many lands left to draw. They're probably going to Field of Ruin our Memorial to Folly, but that's fine, it wasn't doing anything anyway. Yep, sure. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 of our 22. Did I go up to 23? I don't think so. I think we had 22 lands. So there are 8 lands and 36 cards. That is not that many to top deck. Find Finality. Drawing Find Finality and the Memorials has been awful. Oh, please don't tell me you drew a card draw spell as your last thing. Oh my god, and it was the best one! Jeez! Yep, and card draw draws them into more card draw. One of the reasons that card draw it has an inherent advantage over discard. Discard kind of plays well with other discard, but has a hard cap on it. Whereas card draw just works great with having other card draw in your deck. They keep feeding into each other. We were in a really advantaged position, and we still have a couple outs to their best card, but we are almost certainly going to lose this game. They drew too much, and we drew too little. Yep, sure. The third Ixalan's Binding. And same as last match, we're just flush with answers to their powerful cards, but they didn't play those. They just drew their other million from ones. Resolves. Let's go ahead and do this now. Hopefully they stroke it and then don't have an answer for the Eldest Reborn. That would be a way to get back into this game. Sure. Yep. Okay. Let's try this. Okay, they're really reaching. Okay. So I talked about how this game looked over. This game was about to swing really hard back into our favor really fast. Because we're about to start a chain of undoing everything the opponent's been working for the whole game. Okay, play the Memorial to Folly. We still only have one creature in our bin, and it's not even that good, so we're not really going to bother with that. But, hey! Suddenly, we're going to get an extra card, we're going to reanimate something, probably their Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. Yeah, that is totally fine. We have 2 Planeswalkers. Okay. Opponent might be looking at answering this Jadelight Ranger. Destroy all artifacts and enchantments. Sure. It's just gonna eat my treasures in the Eldest Reborn. That is acceptable. Okay. Opponent needs 2 counters here, or they're just sunk. I'm gonna do this pre-combat so I know if I should start attacking at Teferi. Okay. Now they aren't gonna be able to stop the second one. So, chalk one up for Memorial to Folly being excellent. A land that turned into kill target Teferi is great. I'm gonna sack this. It's a better creature, but getting the damage down now is important, I think. Now I'll go ahead and plus with Vivien. Get a Branchwalker. Sweet. So, now we're really going at him. Opponent is going to need another sweeper here, or they're just super dead. All the cards in the world don't matter at all. Sure, let's keep that on the library. I won't say no to another Planeswalker. I maybe should have cast Find there to get back double Plaguecrafter. Yeah, I think that would have been correct. See what opponent has. Nothing. That is acceptable to me. Let's start by plussing Vivien. Sure. Let's just run them out of cards. They've got a couple Chemister's Insights, but those aren't limitless. They gonna counter my Burglar Rat? That'd be kind of funny. No, just drawing cards proactively. If they draw lands or something, they probably want to be able to sack them to this. The question is, if I play Vraska Golgari Queen, do I sacrifice a Burglar Rat, or do I sacrifice a land? Pitching to Fairy. Holy crap, that's the third one, right? Yeah, they don't... Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's their fourth to Fairy? They're out? Holy crap. That's weird. I don't know what to make of that. I think I'm going to find... Okay. We're going to get a little bit tricky here. Play Vraska Golgari Queen. Okay, they negate it. That is fine by me. Now I'm going to find... I wanted to get back the Burglar Rat to really just keep running them out of cards. I think that's an okay way to end the game. Getting back here, Jadelight Ranger and Plaguecrafter. This means that even through some sort of weird removal spell, we have lethal, because we've got one lethal creature. I suppose killing one, we don't have lethal, so never mind. But we are presenting lethal, and we have an answer to a Planeswalker. That's what I meant. Man. Okay, they did have a spot removal spell, which is really weird. Playing Settle the Wreckage, Cleansing Nova, and spot removal just strikes me as a lot of anti-creature cards. Maybe they boarded some of them in. Otherwise, this deck would be really weak in control mirrors. Okay, let's go ahead and go to combat. See what opponent has to say. And go ahead and play a Burglar Rat. We basically ground opponent out of the game. Suppose I should be plussing this first before I do other things, but can't imagine she's going to hit something that's going to change our play much. I think there's one more basic in our deck. I'm not going to get it out yet, though. If they have a sweeper here, which they need to, otherwise they're dead, I want to be able to present lethal again with District Guide plus Vraska. I just thought of something. Which, whew. I didn't think we were going to win that game, but cool, I guess I'm glad we did. So, at one point, opponent used their Cleansing Nova to destroy all artifacts and enchantments because the Eldest Reborn was so good against them. And I hadn't thought that that might come up, but that would be a good reason not to be aggressively blowing up Ixalan's Binding to get our creatures back. Because if we can force that type of Cleansing Nova, then them having to give our creatures back would be very serious upside. I need to not let a game upset me so much when I'm losing. Because we ended up winning that one. Opponent re-sideboarding, maybe rethinking what they're doing. They had a lot of creature removal between all those sweepers and Justice Strike and Essence Scatter and stuff. And that means that they weren't really prepared for our two Planeswalkers. They just didn't have the answers once we snuck past counterspells. We've got quite a few Planeswalkers in our deck. We're up to 5 post-board. We're on the draw here, which is really irritating because we can't sneak under counterspells. Getting down a turn 2 creature before they even have a hope of countering anything is really nice, but on the other hand, this is like a grindy matchup. We didn't win that by attacking them down, not really. We won that by running them out of resources and burying them with our Planeswalkers. So being up a card isn't bad. I wonder if after that last game I want to cut some number of Finality. Because as I said, if they're just countering all of our creatures, it's fine. But one of their main counters is Syncopate. And so maybe we just have too much of a critical mass of the Raise Dead Gravedigger abilities. because they're also competing against each other. After we use that first find to get back the Plaguecrafter and the Jadelight Ranger, if we'd drawn some other similar cards like a Golgari Findbroker, it wouldn't have done anything. Well, Findbroker would have gotten the Eldest Reborn, but the point stands that Memorial and Findbroker and Finality are all competing with each other. So maybe we don't need like 10 copies of that effect. Opponent, I wonder if opponent DC'd. I think it usually shows the cards in their hand while they're thinking about mulligans. So, anything else interesting about that game? So, they hit us with that... I should say, we were quite far ahead, but not going anywhere. We had a lot of anti-Teferi cards, but not any pressure or any recurring card advantage. And then they hit us with the explosion for 5, and I thought that was going to be it. They draw 5 cards, still had a Disdainful Stroke in hand, and a Chemister's Insight in the bin. But, yeah, okay. Opponent just concedes. I would have liked to play out the third game to see if we can win it the real way, but I guess we're 1-1. Alright, getting into one more match. Currently 1-1. This hand is sweet. I would have loved to see this type of hand against our previous 2 opponents. Just get on the board and accumulate card advantage early. Incidentally, this type of hand is also good against Mono Red, which we haven't run into yet, but as I said, will be rough given how we've chosen to form our main and sideboards. But this gets a card out of their hand, which it comes down early enough that that's actually worth something. And it trades with, like, Viashino Pyromancer and stuff like that. So, that's cool. Another control deck. Well, okay. Go ahead and get the Branchwalker down. This is our best pressure, so we want to sneak it through. Don't mind drawing a land here. 4 lands is great because it'll mean we can double spell on turn 4. When our opponent only has 3 mana up, so one of them is going to sneak through. Okay, Jeskai again. Go ahead and hit them with the Branchwalker. We are going to play a card here. If they have an Essence Scatter, it's going to feel dumb, but they are representing Syncopate for 1, so land and then a 2-drop. We'll sneak past that. We don't want to play out of all of our creatures. Our draws have not been great for this matchup. We're flooding out a little bit, but... And we don't want to just walk into a sweeper and be out of creatures, but... Okay. I will keep that on the library, that is. Card selection, possible card advantage, and actually a legitimate threat. This is exactly what we want to follow up with if they do have a sweeper for us. Okay, this indicates that they might not have a sweeper. Spending spot removal on our geeky little creatures is great for us. Combat, go ahead and attack. So the question is, which one of these do we lead with? Which would we rather have resolve? The thing is, I don't think they're going to counter a Seekers Squire. They'll probably just let it go, which means that we wouldn't be able to pay for Syncopate with the Burglar Rat. So I'm going to lead on the Rat. If they have a Syncopate, they can't counter this. If they spend a proper counterspell, like whatever, it already did its job. Yeah. Get it? Okay, another Justice Strike. And I am going to play this. 3 is not really enough pressure, you need a little bit more than that. So, I'm going to play our Seekers Squire. And cool, more value creatures that attack reasonably well. I will take it. Ah, they played this tapped? Wow, that's really interesting. It means they have neither Chemister's Insight nor Settle the Wreckage? That's kind of great for us. Those are the two cards that we're going to start pulling the game in their favor. I am not casting a spell here. I don't need to give them a chance to use their mana. If they don't want to cast a card draw spell, we don't have to let them do anything. Yeah, they just didn't use that turn, whereas we're applying pressure. Okay, Teferi of Hero of Dominaria. This is going to 2-for-1 us, but that's really not that relevant here. Go ahead and get this out of there right now. We don't want them to let the ability go off at end step, because then they will be representing a counterspell. And even with ramping them the extra land, and then untapping 2 with Teferi, they still do not have Settle the Wreckage up. So we can once again just hit them for 4. Okay, answer to another Teferi is not bad. Again, just keep applying pressure, keep forcing them to have an answer, while building up resources in hand. We're forcing our opponent to not play the game they want to. Okay, this resolves. They are going to get to kill our Branchwalker with the trigger, but we kind of have to Contempt this now. This sucks, and if we draw a Ravenous Chupacabra, we're going to feel really stupid. But I think we need to have a mana up on our turn to continue committing cards and making plays, even as we're beating them up. Well, we drew the actual worst. Oh boy. Do we want to commit another card? I think I will. Go ahead and go with the Jadelight Ranger. This is likely to be lethal on its own. Oh. No, I put that on top, but I really shouldn't have. We don't have 6 lands yet. I really have to graveyard that, even though it's one of our best cards. That was a mistake. I needed to think longer. I should have binned it the first time and looked again. The extra point not even relevant right now, because the extra point not relevant right now because opponent is at 3. Even if we binned that and then drew a land, it would be a 3-2, and that is good enough. Okay. Opponent didn't do anything. I'm going to attack with these 2 creatures, because if opponent has a spot removal spell and wants to live, they have to use it on a Burglar Rat instead of the Jadelight Ranger. And if they have Settle the Wreckage, we're attacking for lethal anyway, and this will keep our best card around. Blink of an eye. That is not what I anticipated. Okay. I guess our attack didn't play around that. Let's see if they're willing to go to 2. Nope. They burn a card on our creature. That is fine. I think I'm, again, going to recommit 2 creatures here. If they have Cleansing Nova, we'll be a little light on resources. Huh. Again, we gotta bin that. We just don't have enough lands. I should have played the Branchwalker. This was dumb. This way, if I want to threaten lethal through a removal spell, I'm down to just Merfolk Branchwalker, which sucks. Opponent might be looking to counter this. Yeah, now if they stick up Teferi, we're kind of helpless. Okay, that is much more beatable. Hopefully they don't have an Essence Scatter. If they have an Essence Scatter, that'll probably be the end of it. Yeah. Sure. Weird that they shot that here instead of plinking us. Like, the 1 damage to us probably doesn't matter, but that one definitely didn't matter. Okay, we got him on the ropes. We're close. Okay, they're desperate. Huh. They haven't shown us Settle the Wreckage yet, and I wonder if they're running it. We got the full 4 Justice Strikes plus Shock and Blink of an Eye, and they're main phasing that Chemister's Insight. Okay, we managed to get there by beating down with very mediocre creatures. Cool. Okay, so, unlike our last opponent, they showed multiple main deck Niv Mizzets, and Ravenous Chupacabra is a very good answer to that, so I don't know if we're going to be cutting them all. That said, Plaguecrafter, Eldest Reborn, and Vivien are also good answers. Find, unlike last time, is definitely going to be good because they showed all that spot removal. So, we need to decide what's bad. I think Assassin's Trophy is one of our worst removal spells because it gives them the land. I think Chupacabras are still just okay. We really need to be able to answer Teferi, so that's why Vraska's Contempt and Plaguecrafter are staying in. We could... How many more cuts do we need? 2. Could cut our weakest Explore creature. It did okay work, but it's not that much pressure on its own. And maybe a District Guide? That might be foolish. Because we just don't have that many lands, but we want to play our big cost a million spells. Could be the second Assassin's Trophy. Or maybe 1 Vraska's Contempt. I'm going to go down to 1 Chupacabra. This still leaves us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 answers to Niv Mizzet. Most of them pretty good. Vraska's Contempt and Assassin's Trophy being the only ones that give them a card. I think this is fine. Opponent's deck is interesting. The last deck we played against was blue-white control with a red splash. This is definitely blue-red control with a white splash. This hand is excellent. We have our value creatures, an anti-Teferi or Niv Mizzet card, and multiple Raised Deads built into our mana, along with our colors just working. This is great. Okay, I'm gonna play the Memorial to Folly on 1 since Dinner's tapped. Next turn we can Forest and play one of our Explore creatures. Didn't really need a 5th land with double Explore creature in hand, but at some point we're going to be happy to draw a lot of lands since we plan to sacrifice 2 of them. Okay. Early on, I think we just want to apply a little more pressure. And opponent is playing a control deck, they're going to have cards in hand, so we will be able to find a target for Burglar Rat. Okay, Duress a land. Opponent not showing white yet. If they're leaning on Justice Strike, they can't actually cast it. I was going to say that we might not play a creature this turn to avoid walking into a counter, but Golgari Findbroker makes me want to walk into a counter. So, I think we can't play around Syncopate anyway, so I'm just going to play the Seekers Squire right now. And then we can play our Memorial tapped. We'll keep our best card on the top of the library. Alright, opponent, what do you have for us? Opponent might have boarded in, like, Deafening Clarion. Oh, that sweeps up most of our value creatures pretty well. Yep, there we go, that's fine. Alright, let the card advantage begin. We're gonna go ahead and play our Findbroker. Gonna get back a Branchwalker. If they have Teferi, Uptick, leave up Essence Scatter, we would be in trouble here, but it looks like that's not what's happening to us. They missed their 5th land, so they might have Teferis ready to go. Resolving this is great, because we can continue to play out creatures, and we're not playing more into Deafening Clarion, really, because we will still have a threat either way. So, what do we want to do here? If we play a land, our first card plays around Syncopate for 3. I don't think they have a Syncopate, though. I suppose they might. We haven't really played into it at any point. I'm going to go ahead and play the Swamp and just play a Branchwalker. They look like they might have been thinking about a removal spell there. Sweet. Always happy for more Burglar Rats. And I'm going to go ahead and play this one out. Okay, throwing away a removal spell. They do have Ixalan's Binding, we just didn't see them last time. Okay. I'm certainly more glad that happened than resolving anything really ridiculous. Okay. Let's hope they don't have an Essence Scatter. That would be very difficult for us to beat. So I'm going to go ahead and play out this. This way both of our spells play around Syncopate for 1. I'm going to try to pre-combat. Yeah, okay, sweet. That is exactly what we wanted. If we knew this was going to resolve, we would attack with the rat first, but this way we get to check if we have to play around... we might have had to attack into Teferi if they countered our Plaguecrafter. And I'm just going to go ahead and keep playing these. Run them out of cards. Now we have a board that opponent really needs to deal with. They're getting kind of low and they're running out of cards. It's going to be very difficult for them to deal with all of this and also with Vivien Reid. The question is, do we do anything else with our turn? We don't really want to play into like a Cleansing Nova harder than we have to. Let's see, we could 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sacrifice Memorial to Folly, get back Burglar Rat. This way, even if they have a sweeper, we get a card out of their hand. Ionize, sure, that is totally acceptable to me. Now, they really need a sweeper. They would need 2 removal spells, and one of them can't be Justice Strike. Yeah, and we just easily crushed them out of that game with our value creatures. That's how I was hoping that first match would go. We'd have a little bit of interaction for their big threats, and then kill them with the value creatures. And, hey, it got to work out this time. So, overall, we went 2-1, losing what I think should be a good matchup. The thing is, we didn't lose the matchup in the way I've lost it before. Before, when we lost, it was to Doom Whisperer just killing me when I couldn't answer it. But what we lost to was Disinformation Campaign. So, if that is a popular thing that you're running into a lot, it's probably correct to go back to Thrashing Brontodon in this deck. Just be able to shut that down right out of the gate. Then we went on to beat 2 control decks, which is interesting because in the past the Teferi decks have been the harder ones. But we did get there. I think overall I'm pretty happy with this deck. It really is a deck that needs to be metagamed. If there's a lot of mono red, I would be forced to move Wildgrowth Walker back into the main, but since we didn't run into red, I was very glad not to have that card there. So, to wrap up, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like it, along with deck techs to go with these consistently longer videos, I would love it if you could subscribe to this channel. It helps both you to see future content and more people to see the stuff. So I think that's all I have for today. Thanks and goodbye.